All right, today's leadership lesson is on leadership lids. This is an important topic because sometimes we put a lid on our own leadership. And when you have a lid on leadership in an organization, it's not going to get past what the leader has, whether it's information, inspiration, communication, connection, or a lot of things. That's why normally when an kind of a team or organization is not going good, they replace that leader. So as a leader, what I want you to do is begin to think about changing your own lid, because we often have our own lid that we're not aware of sometimes. It's something that kind of stops us from being able to be in different situations, be agile, get into different kind of work with different kinds of teams or personalities because of that lid. It's kind of a rut. And so let me tell you a story about two brothers who illustrate this. In 1930, Dick and Maurice, they were two brothers who moved from New Hampshire to California. They were wanting to make it big in the movie set business, and they got out there and they were working that. And they decided, because their entrepreneurial spirit, they ended up buying a movie theater in nearby Glendale. But things didn't work out. It kind of fell flat. And so, but they didn't allow that to stop them. And so in 1937, Dick and Maurice, they bought a drive-in restaurant in Pasadena. And at that point, they had car hops. They had kind of a different idea than we have today. They used china and actual silverware. And that's how they did. They'd run out to the car and deliver food, and it was wildly successful. In fact, the first couple years, they brought in $200,000, which gave each brother $50,000 in profit. And in 1940, that was quite a sum. In 1948, they even adjusted their kind of business model. They got rid of the car hops. They had expanded from 1940 to 1948. They had expanded their menu, and they had like barbecue beef and a whole bunch of other stuff, and they just simplified their menu into hamburgers. And they eliminated all the fancy silverware and everything else and went with just paper plates. They instituted a speedy service, which they believe would deliver food within 30 seconds of ordering the food, which was revolutionary at that time. By the mid-50s, it was so wildly popular, their adjustments, that they were making $350,000 a year. And the two brothers were bringing home each in profits $100,000 apiece. Who were they? Well, these two brothers had formed, if you went to the front of their restaurant, you would have seen the sign that said, McDonald's Hamburgers. Yes, these two brothers were the first ones to start the famous Golden Arch restaurant, but that's not the end of the story. You see, they were a genius at customer service and kitchen organization. You could say they were very good at tactical leadership. They were able to figure out what objectives needed to happen, and they were just going to take care of the business, take care of the customer, but they weren't able to fly 30,000 feet above the business and have that other kind of leadership, which we'll talk about. But this leadership lid, only being able to think tactically and not strategically, really limited their leadership. And so they had tried to take this amazing model that was making them all this money and to franchise it. And in 1952, after receiving hundreds of letters from people, they tried it and they failed. They only got about 15 different startups information, and then they only got about 10 of those to actually start up restaurants. And so they had to find someone who had that strategic, big picture view of leadership. And so in 1954, they brought in Ray Kroc, who was a strategic leader. He didn't have the lid. And in 1955, he brought in the McDonald's system, which he bought the rights to the franchise and was able to sell this idea to other people who were interested. In 1961, he bought the rights to franchise from the McDonald's brothers for $2.7 million. And at that point, he blew the business up in a great way. Between 1955 and 1959, he was able to franchise it out to 100 restaurants. Within another 4 years, 500 restaurants. And today, McDonald's has 22,000 restaurants in 100 countries. See, the difference between these two leaders was Dick and Maurice were strategic leaders. Were tactical leaders, sorry. Ray Kroc was a strategic leader. And each of us has a lid ourselves. And if we're not careful, we can fall into the Dick and Maurice trap of just thinking of kind of the everyday needs. How can we do the business better? How can we work harder? How can we keep doing what we've always done? The strategic leader will take a step back and rethink how business is done. And how we do this is getting out of our own comfort zone. It means reading different people. It means partnering and mentoring with other business leaders or other people. This can work as a parent too, where you're the same parenting strategy is not working. And so you need to talk to other parents. You need to read parenting strategies. This works in a whole host of fields. The key is that we don't get ourselves in a rut. Because if we do, if we're not reinventing ourselves, learning, getting around other people, we're going to have that leadership lid. And if there's a lid for the leader, the organization can't get past that. All right, well, next time we'll see what else we learn from Leadership Lessons with Brian. See you later.